Hi, Miss Palmer here. I wanted to first of all apologize that I have not been doing my lives every night like I was. It just kind of got to be a lot with my own family, and then now that Miss Palmer is working hard to try and prep for my first C's for this new online learning, it was just kind of a lot. So, my new plan is to do a read aloud every single week and just once a week, and I'll upload it to my YouTube page as well as the school YouTube page, and share it on our class page. And then anyone can watch it anytime they want, and as many times as they want. So that's my new plan. So, what I'm going to start off by reading first is I'm going to pick up where we left off with Charlotte's Web. Remember, we had just read the chapter about Dr. Dorian. Now, Dr. Dorian was a doctor that Fern's mom went and saw because she was concerned about Fern. She was concerned about Fern because Fern has been going home and telling these stories about listening to the animals and talking with the animals. And her mom was very concerned about that. So she went and spoke with the doctor, but the doctor assured her that if Fern is eating well and acting well, that she's okay. So now we are on the chapter called The Crickets, and we're going to read that chapter and then we'll discuss a little bit afterwards. The crickets sang in the grasses. They sang the song of summer's ending, a sad, monotonous song. Summer is over and gone, they sang. Over and gone, over and gone. Summer is dying, dying. The crickets felt it was their duty to warn everybody that summer cannot last forever. Even on the most beautiful days in the whole year, the days when summer is changing into fall, the crickets spread the rumor of sadness and change. Everybody heard the song of the crickets. Avery and Fern Arbel heard it as they walked the dusty road. They knew that school would begin again soon. The young geese heard it and knew they would never be little gooselings again. Charlotte heard it and knew that she didn't have much time left. Mrs. Zuckerman, at work in the kitchen, heard the crickets, and a sadness came over her, too. Another summer gone, she sighed. Lurvy, at work, building a crate for Wilbur, heard the song and knew it was time to dig potatoes. Summer is over and gone, repeated the crickets. How many nights till frost, sang the crickets. Goodbye, summer, goodbye, goodbye. The sheep heard the crickets, and they felt so uneasy they broke a hole in the pasture fence and wandered up into the field across the road. The gander discovered the hole and led his family through, and they walked to the orchard and ate apples that were lying on the ground. A little maple tree in the swamp heard the cricket song and turned bright red with anxiety. Wilbur was now the center of the attraction on the farm. Good food and regular hours were showing results. Wilbur was a pig any man would be proud of. One day, more than 100 people came to stand at his yard and admire him. Charlotte had written the words radiant, and Wilbur really looked radiant as he stood in the golden sunlight. Ever since the spider had befriended him, he had done his best to live up to his expectations. When Charlotte wrote some pig, Wilbur tried hard to look like some pig. When Charlotte's web said terrific, Wilbur had tried to look terrific. And now that the web said radiant, he did everything possible to make himself glow. It's not easy to look radiant, but Wilbur threw himself into it with a will. He would turn his legs slightly and blink his long eyelashes. Then he would breathe deeply, and when his audience grew bored, he would spring into the air and do a backflip with a half twist. As the crowd would yell and cheer, "How's that for a pig?" Mr. Zuckerman would ask, well pleased with himself. That pig is radiant. Some of Wilbur's friends in the barn worried fear that all this attention would get to his head and make him stuck up, but it never did. Wilbur was modest, and fame didn't spoil him. He still worried about the future, and he could hardly believe that a mere spider was able to save his life. Sometimes at night he would have bad dreams. He would dream that men were coming to get him with knives, but that was only a dream. In the daytime, Wilbur usually felt happy and confident. No pig had ever had truer friends, and he realized that friendship is one of the most satisfying things in the world. Even the song of the crickets did not make Wilbur too sad. He knew it was almost time for the county fair, and he was looking forward to the trip. If he could distinguish himself at the fair and maybe win some prize money, he was sure Zuckerman would let him live. Charlotte had worries of her own too, but she kept quiet about them. One morning Wilbur asked her about the fair. "You're going with me, aren't you, Charlotte?" he said. "Well, I don't know," replied Charlotte. "The fair comes at a bad time for me. I shall find it inconvenient to leave home, even for a few days." "Why?" asked Wilbur. "Oh, I just don't feel like leaving my web. Too much going on around here." "Please come with me," begged Wilbur. "I need you, Charlotte. I can't stand going to the fair without you. You've just got to come." "No," said Charlotte. "I believe I'd better stay home and see if I can get some work done here." "What kind of work?" asked Wilbur. "Egg laying. It's time to make an egg sack and fill it with eggs." "I didn't know you could lay eggs," said Wilbur in amazement. "Oh, sure," said the spider. "I'm versatile." "What does versatile mean? Full of eggs?" asked Wilbur. "Certainly not," said Charlotte. "Versatile means I can turn with ease from one thing to another. It means I don't have a limit on my activities to spinning and doing stunts like that." "Why don't you come with me to the fairgrounds and lay your eggs there?" pleaded Wilbur. "It would be wonderful fun." Charlotte gave her web a twitch and moodily watched it sway. "I'm afraid not," she said. "You don't know the first thing about egg laying, Wilbur. I can't arrange my family duties to suit the management of the county fair. When I get ready to lay eggs, I have to lay eggs, fair or no fair. However, I don't want you to worry about it. You might lose weight. We'll leave it this way. I'll come to the fair if I possibly can." "Oh, good," said Wilbur. I knew you wouldn't forsake me just when I needed you most." All that day Wilbur stayed inside, taking life easy in the straw. Charlotte rested and ate a grasshopper. She knew that she couldn't help Wilbur much longer. In a few days she would have to drop everything and build a beautiful little sack that would hold her eggs. All right, so that is the end of that chapter. So once again, people coming from near and far to look at Wilbur. This time his web said radiant. So he was making sure that he looked very radiant and was acting very radiant for all these people. The county fair is coming up and he's very excited about it because he knows that he's going to get to go with Mr. Zuckerman and he wants to show everybody what an amazing pig he is. He really wants Charlotte to come, but Charlotte isn't so sure if she can because she has to lay her eggs. So the next chapter is called The County Fair, so I guess we'll see if Charlotte gets to go along or not. Now, the next book that I'm going to read you all is called The Koala Who Could. And I love this book because not only does it have wonderful vocabulary and wonderful descriptions, but it's just a great, great story. And I felt like it was really, really appropriate for right now. So join along, and I'll make sure that you can see the pictures after I'm done reading the words. In a wonderful place where the day was just dawning, and the breezes blew soft on a warm golden morning. In a place where the creatures ran wild and played free, a koala called Kevin clung to a tree. A nicer gray fellow you never would meet, as soft as a soft thing from ear tufts to feet. His favorite way to relax in the sun was to cling and to nap and to munch a leaf bun. And after all this, well, he needed a nice rest. Yes, Kevin liked sticking to what he knew best. Isn't he so cute? I think so. You see, high up was safe since he liked a slow pace, while the ground down below seemed like a frightening place. Too fast and too loud and too big and too strange. Nope, Kevin preferred not to move or to change. So he clung to his tree as he knew what to do, and he was never too keen to try anything new. So when Wombat stopped by and shouted one day, "Hey, Kevin, why don't you come down here and play?" I think," he replied, "I should stay on my plant. I'm busy right now. No, I'm sorry, I can't." "Why not?" cried the Ruse with a super loud cheer. "Yes, why?" called the Dingo. "There's nothing to fear." But Kevin, who'd never been one to act fast, said, "I've cleaning to do, but it's nice that you've asked." As Kevin sat watching them chatter and share, a part of him wished he could join in down there. But he knew he'd miss home. It was so dark and so late. The whole thing was risky. Adventure could wait. Whatever the invite, he'd always say no. Oh dear, it seemed Kevin just couldn't let go. I know that feeling of being scared to try something new. You know that feeling too? So his life was the same no matter the day. The weeks came and went, and the months rolled away, and Kevin stayed still while the world moved around until he awoke to a worrying sound. Tap, tap, the sound went. Well, this was a blow. Tap, tappity, tap, tap, tap. Oh no! Looks like a woodpecker is about to put this tree down. Unclean, the crowd called, which had gathered below. Leap and we'll catch you. Just let yourself go. But Kevin was scared. Let go? No, I shan't. I won't, shouted Kevin. Oh dear, I just can't. Whoop! Down came the tree, and with it was bringing crash and a wallop, a Kevin still clinging. Kevin, he carefully opened one eye and looked up at the love staring down from the sky. Then one paw by one paw he loosened his hold. He felt springy and light and happy and bold. The worst he could think of had now came to pass, and he was just fine while he felt quite first class. So when Wombat leaned over and held his paw out, Kevin no longer felt worry or doubt. When Dingo asked, "Now, will you come out to play?" the crowd all joined in with a "What do you say?" And even though this wasn't part of his plan, Kevin replied, "Yes, I think that I can." And Kevin from then on was always can do. Because life can be great when you try something new. The end. The Koala Who Could. And I love that book because right now is such a crazy time. And I know not just for teachers, but for you all too. It's kind of strange, and you're not used to being at school with your teachers. You're not used to being at school, with your friends. And we miss you all a lot. And I know you all miss us a lot too. And this is a very, very strange time, and it's different, and it can be scary. But if we learn to work together and try something new, we might really like this virtual learning. And it might be a lot similar to what you're used to in the classroom. I know Miss Palmer, personally, for her class, is going to make it as similar as I possibly can. And I definitely still plan to see you guys. It just won't be as much and it won't be every day. But we can always talk, we can always Zoom. I know my class did a practice Zoom the other day and it was fun. On Fridays, I still want to be able to do like a fun little Zoom where everybody can talk and you can see your friends and say hi, and we can talk about what you've done this week and how you're feeling and all those kinds of things that we get to do every day when we're in the classroom. So, just like Kevin, who was really scared and really nervous of change, he ended up saying he could and he was fine and happy. So, we all need to be like Kevin, and yes, this is going to be a big change and very different for us. And yes, it's a little scary, and that's okay. But if we try something new and we try this virtual learning and really give it our best effort, I think that we're all going to be just fine. So I hope you all like the stories for today. I'll pick out next week is spring break, so I won't upload anything next week. But the week after we start back school, and I will upload another read aloud. I'll do the next chapter of Charlotte's Web, which is about the county fair, and then I'll pick another book to read to you guys. So I miss you all. Hope you're doing well and hope you all love this video and these stories today. And I'll see you next time.